Good evening. These are the stories making the headlines in the Hot 7 Nightly News. The CSA plans to explore further legal options following a decision by the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court in the Lucelec retirement matter. The Leclerc Minibus Association celebrates a victory in court and a judgment for compensation. The Environmental Health Department has all the details you need to know about the latest food recall and your health and safety. We have the details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovely and Amy Joseph.
It is Tuesday, the 18th of December 2018. Welcome to the Hot 7 Nightly News. I am Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. Parliamentary Representative for Choiseul Saltibus Bradley Felix is denying rumors about the alleged impending name change for the Choiseul Secondary School. Concerns were raised by members of the community after the rumors began to circulate, mainly about the underhandedness of the decision. Constituents have been outraged by the talk. Tuesday afternoon, Felix told Hot 7 News that the rumor is nothing more than a misconception which span out of control.
We have a 40th Independence Anniversary Committee, and this 40th Independence Anniversary Committee was mandated to look at island-wide as to how we can commemorate and celebrate our 40th Independence Anniversary, look at suggestions, and look at various activities to commemorate the 40th Independence Anniversary. It appears that one of the suggestions was that the Choiseul Secondary School be renamed. The idea was thrown out, a name was thrown out, the name went around, and somehow the name may have gotten to the school, whether it was by some consultation in terms of bringing it to the attention of the school personnel, and it had already begun to communicate. The communication had already gone out to various entities that school was going to be renamed.
Felix said the revelation was all rather surprising to him, as nothing had been set in stone. The MP assured his constituents that the final say on the matter has been and always will be theirs.
As some of my supporters have indicated to me, a matter like that, there should be consultation within the community, and I quite agree. And what I can assure the people who have contacted me, the people who have expressed their concern, that there will not be a name change unless there is proper consultation with the community as it relates to any such change, because we, the ones who belong to the community, we have a stake in some of these matters. And so I want to assure the people of Choiseul Saltibus that the information with regards to renaming the school is not something that has been finalized. There will be consultation, there will be various town hall meetings, there will be community center meetings as it relates to if we decide to change the name of our school.
The Choiseul Secondary School's motto is discipline and perseverance key to success. In other news, the General Secretary of the Civil Service Association, Claude Paul, is lamenting the recent ruling by the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court in the ongoing case between the island's loan power company, Lucelec, and seniors employed by the company who are represented by the CSA. Paul says the matter is not over. The CSA's General Secretary Claude Paul says the association and its members are indeed disappointed about the ruling of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court deeming the retirement age to be 60 and not 65 for Lucelec employees who signed with the company prior to 2012. The CSA thought it had a victory when the Labour Tribunal ruled that the retirement age should be in accordance with the law as stipulated in the NIC Act. That is a retirement age of 65. But Lucelec, well within its rights, sought judicial review of the tribunal's decision. The claim for judicial review was filed on the 10th of October 2018. The decision by the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court has quashed that which was made by the Labour Tribunal. However, the association says it is not deterred in what it believes is a just fight.
at this point in time, CSA is looking at its options, legal options, and will certainly pursue, based on advice, whatever the legal options are. Because we believe fundamentally that the law says that the age of retirement is 65, and all things being considered, that would be the expectation of any worker.
Paul says all is not lost because employees who entered the company after 2012 would be subject to the NIC revised retirement age of 65.
We have workers who were there in the past, as well as current workers who may already be 60 and who, by the decision of the tribunal, would have continued in the employment of Lucilec and would not be forced out, as was the case with previous workers. So therefore, there's still an urgent concern for this matter to be dealt with. So, as I said, CSA has to seek legal advice, and based on that advice, decide what is best to do in the circumstances.
The CSA continues to argue that a decision to set the retirement age at 60 when the NIC Act states 65 is to force people out of employment and to affect their pensions and overall quality of life in their golden years. Lucilec, however, has the court on its side since employees' contracts noted that according to the company's private pension plan, the retirement age is 60. Prior to the revised NIC retirement age exercise, the court says Lucilec is right. Long-standing parliamentary representative for Castries East, Philip J. Pierre, has strongly condemned the actions taken by individuals who vandalized the Marsha Community Center. Pierre said the act was particularly callous since the property and food which were destroyed was being used by the less fortunate members of the community. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
Parliamentary representative of the Marsha community, Philip J. Pierre, has expressed deep concerns over the vandalism of the Marsha Community Center during the early hours of Monday morning. Whilst a few items were reported stolen, it was the shocking act of vandalism which has left the community up in arms. According to reports, the vandals destroyed what they could not carry away with them, and foods meant for the center's after-school program were deliberately tampered with, including mixing food with bleach, leaving them unsafe for consumption. The vandals finished their dastardly deed by spray painting the walls of the center. The long-standing Castries East MP said the act was wrong on so many levels.
I must condemn that sort of action. It's not right, particularly since many of the food and the materials that were there ought to be for the less privileged people in Marsha. So it was an action that I outrightly condemned, and I want to say to the people who did that is not the way to express your frustration or your annoyance.
Pierre said this kind of behavior continues to paint the community in a negative light, and that the perpetrators are hurting not only the vulnerable, but themselves as well.
It gives our society or our community a very bad name. It continues the stigmatization of Marsha, which happens and which I've called many times to stop. I want to assure people that most of the citizens of our constituency are hardworking citizens who do not condone that kind of behavior. I hope it doesn't happen again, but I think it was an act that needs and ought to be and will be condemned by me.
The MP called the incident bizarre and continued on to say that one must be concerned about why someone would go to such lengths to cause such mischief.
I don't want to proffer any reasons why it happened, but all I can tell you, it's a very bizarre thing to happen, particularly when it's said that nothing was stolen, but the place was just utter chaos and confusion. I hope that does not happen again, and I also want to ensure the people of St. Lucia that they must not condemn the constituency of Castries East or the Marsha community because of that action.
The center is situated directly opposite Pierre's constituency office. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Drivers of the Leclerc Minibus Association have ended the year with a win. The association has walked away the victor in a lawsuit filed against them by a disgruntled minibus operator who took umbrage to them years ago.
A long-standing feud between one minibus operator along the Leclerc route and the Leclerc Minibus Association has finally been put to rest, with victory on the side of the latter party. The matter surrounded the operator who hauled the association, along with a number of other parties, before the courts over nearly a decade ago for numerous concerns. On Tuesday morning, the association's vice president, Aaron King, explained the matter further.
In 2010, we had an issue concerning the route permit, the renewal of the route permit. And he thought well to himself that we didn't want to renew it, so he brought it to the authorities, and he had a lawsuit against the Ministry of Transport, the Attorney General, and the Leclerc Minibus Association. But on Monday past, we had judgment where we got judgment a long time ago for Leclerc where we were not involved in that, and he had to pay compensation. And the Ministry on the High Court dismissed the case against him for the 8th year. They dismissed it against him. So he had nothing against the Ministry.
When asked where the issue began, King said it was all a matter of egos.
Coming from that to see who is the bigger man or the better man. So he feel he could do what he wants and nobody can touch him. That's the problem. He ridicule all drivers, all fellas belonging to the association. He's ridiculing them all the time. See them on the road, laugh at them, throw old remarks, dirty remarks and so on. That's his problem.
And has anyone ever approached him to try to calm the situation?
Nope. Just leave him at it, let it be. Nature takes its course, so let it be.
Immediate past president of the LCMBA, David John, spoke about the matter during the association's Christmas celebrations. He said it was not an easy battle as members faced disunity and discomfort within the association. However, the actions taken to fix the problem paid off.
So what you find was happening, everybody was having a share piece of the cake. And you find the selfish one didn't like that. So there was animosity between us, and we had to have a strong executive in place to deal with these delinquent drivers. The era came along where Mr. Samuel DEC and myself, during our reign as president, had to take a firm and flexible stand. And we had to deter these ill-disciplined drivers from causing disunity in the association. It was a very hard task. We made a lot of enemies during that time. And as a result, our executive ended up going for the courts to deal with certain matters. This dragged for about 4 to 5 years in the courts until finally, today, we won our judgment in favor of the Leclerc Associations.
King said the courts has ordered the individual to pay the legal fees of the parties involved, and he is hopeful that all money spent on the matter will be refunded in full. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News. Still to come, the Environmental Health Department has the latest on the recalled Fiesta corn, and bus drivers call out their colleagues for not using designated stops. Also, the CSA's General Secretary takes the high road. Stay with us, there's more coming up.